Do you ever feel like you've reached your limit? Like no matter how much effort you put in, there's something inside holding you back? Let me tell you a truth that might shift the way you see your life. David Goggins wasn't born strong. He wasn't gifted, privileged, or chosen. He was shaped in silence, through pain, rejection, fear, and deliberate choice. And if you've ever believed that true strength is only for the lucky few, then this message is for you. Because in the next few minutes, you'll discover how inner strength isn't about muscle or talent. It's about showing up when no one else does, pushing forward when everything in you wants to stop. So I urge you, don't just scroll past this. Watch this video until the very end. One sentence, one thought could be the spark that changes your direction forever. And if this speaks to something deep inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Not for numbers, but because someone out there, just like you, is quietly losing the battle. And this message might be the very thing that helps them rise. This is more than motivation. This is the power within. And your journey starts now. David Goggins was never born strong. He was not a chosen one, nor did he come from a place of privilege. In truth, he was a frightened, stuttering boy, growing up in a home filled with violence, poverty, and pain. But he did not allow his past to define him. He made a choice, a bold, deliberate choice, to transform himself. That is the power of inner strength. It does not come from favorable circumstances. It comes from the fire you light inside when the world around you offers only darkness. In many Indian households, we are taught to adjust, to accept, to remain quiet in our suffering. But what if, like Goggins, we chose instead to rise? What if we stopped waiting to feel strong and instead decided to become strong, brick by brick, choice by choice? He reminds us that strength is not something you find, it's something you build. And this process of becoming, of shaping a life that defies your past, begins not with motivation, but with truth. With looking in the mirror and saying, I refuse to be the victim anymore. If Goggins could rise from his pain and turn it into purpose, then so can we. The journey begins the moment you decide, enough is enough. Inner strength is not measured by the body, it is measured by the storms your mind has survived. David Goggins teaches us that real power does not come from the size of your muscles, but from your ability to suffer without surrender. He used his pain not as an excuse, but as his greatest teacher. Every moment he was broken, physically, mentally, emotionally, he chose to keep going. And in that decision, he was building something far greater than endurance. He was building inner steel. In our culture, pain is often seen as something to hide, something to pray away. But Goggins flipped the meaning. He did not pray for the pain to disappear, he welcomed it. Because he understood, pain sharpens the mind, it burns away weakness, and it exposes the parts of you that still need to grow. Think of the most difficult moment in your life. The heartbreak, the failure, the loss. That was not the end of you. It was the beginning of something deeper. Your transformation. Inner strength is born not in the times when everything is easy, but in the times when your spirit is tested. And the more you endure, the more you discover. Strength is not found in comfort, it is forged in fire. In David Goggins' words, you must callous the mind. Just as a laborer's hands toughen with repeated work, your mind must be trained, again and again through hardship and resistance. It is not enough to do something difficult once. Strength is not built in a single run or a single challenge. It is built in repetition, in choosing the hard path every single day until what once broke you becomes routine. The idea is simple, yet powerful. Every time you do something you don't feel like doing, whether it's a workout, studying late, or facing a difficult truth, you build another layer of mental callus. And in time, those layers become armor. Pain no longer frightens you. Fear no longer controls you. This is how inner strength becomes permanent, not by avoiding the fire, but by walking through it again and again until it cannot burn you anymore. Every morning, David Goggins stands in front of what he calls the accountability mirror. It is not just a mirror, it is a moment of truth. He does not use it to fix his appearance, but to face his reality. There are no affirmations, no comforting lies. He looks himself in the eye and says exactly what needs to be said, even if it hurts. Especially if it hurts. This concept is deeply relevant in our Indian context, where many of us are taught to maintain appearances, to protect family pride, to follow the path others have laid out for us. But true inner strength begins the moment you stop pretending. It begins the moment you tell yourself, without shame or fear, "This is where I am, and this is what I must change." Goggins did not wait for someone to guide him. The mirror became his teacher. He wrote his weaknesses on post-it notes, stuck them on the glass, and attacked them one by one, not with guilt, but with purpose. This daily honesty built a discipline no school or motivational video could teach. When you are brave enough to tell yourself the raw truth, you give yourself the power to rewrite your story. And that is the beginning of unshakable strength. Not from the world's approval, but from your own self-respect. One of David Goggins' most powerful lessons is what he calls the 40% rule. The idea that when you feel completely exhausted, ready to quit, certain that you have nothing left to give, you are only at 40% of your true capacity. That remaining 60%. It's locked inside your mind, waiting for you to demand more from yourself. In India, we often hear stories of spiritual warriors, of yogis who push their bodies and minds beyond the limits of logic. That same power exists within you. Goggins reminds us that the limitation is not physical, it is mental. The body will always want comfort, but the mind can be trained to keep moving, even through pain. He used this rule to survive Hell Week in Navy SEAL training, to run ultramarathons with broken bones, to confront the deepest parts of himself. Not because he was superhuman, but because he refused to believe that his first impulse to quit was the final word. The real enemy is not tiredness. It is the voice inside your head that says, "This is enough." But it's not enough. Not yet. Inner strength means learning to push through that mental barrier and discovering that your true potential begins after you think you're finished. When David Goggins speaks about the cookie jar, he's not talking about childhood treats. He's referring to a personal mental vault, a place where he stores the memories of every hardship he's overcome, every victory earned in pain, every moment when he proved to himself that he was stronger than he thought. This concept holds deep value in our Indian lives too. We often forget to celebrate our inner battles because society only honors visible achievements. But what about the day you didn't give up, even when no one was watching? What about the night you cried quietly, but still showed up the next morning? Those moments matter. They are your cookies, your reminders that you have fought before and you can fight again. Goggins pulls from his cookie jar when he's in pain, when he wants to quit, when everything feels impossible. He remembers running on broken legs. He remembers surviving trauma. He reminds himself, "I did that. I'm capable of more." You can do the same. Keep a record, mental or written, of your victories, no matter how small. This is not pride, this is preparation. Because when life breaks you down again, and it will, you'll have something to reach for. Proof that you are not weak. Proof that you are forged in resilience, and that alone can carry you through your darkest hour. David Goggins does not avoid pain, he welcomes it. He does not see it as an enemy, but as a powerful source of fuel. Most people run from discomfort, trying to silence it with distraction or delay. But Goggins chose to run through pain, not away from it. That's where his transformation happened, not in comfort, but in confrontation. In our Indian culture, we are taught to endure suffering quietly, to see it as part of life. But Goggins challenges us to go further, not just to endure, but to use pain. Every painful moment is energy. Every setback is material. You can either let it crush you, or you can turn it into fire. Pain humbles you. It teaches you lessons no book ever could. It strips away ego, laziness, and illusion. It reveals the real you, the one beneath the mask, the one who refuses to back down. Goggins turned pain into purpose, into movement, into discipline. That is the essence of inner strength, not the absence of pain, but the ability to take it and say, "Because of this, I will rise higher." When you stop fearing pain and start respecting it as your training ground, your mindset begins to shift. You are no longer a victim of your suffering. You become the master of it. Inner strength is not a gift, it is a daily choice. It does not arrive through luck, nor is it passed down by family or status. David Goggins is not extraordinary because of talent. He is extraordinary because he chooses every single day to do the hard thing, to silence the excuses, to rise even when no one is watching. That is what separates the strong from the average. not ability, but consistency. In the Indian mindset, we often admire heroes from afar, freedom fighters, saints, athletes, but forget that greatness begins with small, consistent actions. Goggins brings this truth home. No one builds inner strength in one day. It is forged through repeated decisions. Decisions to suffer with purpose, to speak truth to yourself, to show up again and again, even when motivation is gone. Every day, you are faced with a choice. Stay the same or evolve. You can scroll endlessly, complain quietly, or delay your growth, or you can rise. You can become your own hero. Goggins asks the hard question, and now so must you. Will you build your inner strength today, or keep living as the weaker version of yourself? The choice will not be easy, but it will be yours. And that, above all, is where your power begins. If something inside you stirred while reading this, hold on to it. That feeling is not random. It's the beginning of your awakening, the beginning of your own path to inner strength. And somewhere out there, someone just like you is silently fighting battles, thinking they're alone. But they're not. You're not. That's why this message must be shared, not for attention, but for impact. We all have a breaking point. We all have moments when we want to quit, when life seems too heavy, when the mind whispers, you are not enough. But in that very moment, you have a choice. You can surrender, or you can stand up. You can choose comfort, or you can choose growth. David Goggins didn't become powerful because he had no fear. He became powerful because he walked into fear with his eyes open and kept walking. That spirit of relentless effort, of choosing discomfort, of building truth brick by brick, that spirit lives in you too. So if you're ready to rise, if you're ready to break free from the weaker version of yourself, then make this your first step. Like, comment, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs it. Not for followers, but for warriors. For a community built not on likes, but on discipline, grit, and transformation. This is not just motivation. This is the power within. Your journey doesn't begin tomorrow. It begins now.